Over the past few years, I've audited dozens and dozens of Klaviyo accounts, and most e-commerce brands are leaving money on the table when it comes to their campaigns. And in this video, I'm going to break down 7 different things you can be doing to make more money from your email campaigns. So let's get right into it. Just a quick refresh here on one of our Klaviyo dashboards. So you can see that we're qualified to speak about this, and we actually do this on a daily basis. You can see we're generating around 33% of revenue, about 1.5 million just in the last few months for one of these brands. As I mentioned, we help brands scale, and retention marketing is one of the ways in which we do that. Quick background on me, my name is Jordan Hayes. I've been running a marketing agency for the past 5 years. We help e-commerce brands scale to 8 figures, multiple 8 figures, and even 9 figures. And one of the ways in which we help them scale is we manage their email and SMS marketing. We have a full team internally that work on email and SMS marketing for a number of different e-commerce brands. And whenever we're doing a due diligence on bringing a new client on board into the agency to do email and SMS marketing for them, we audit the Klaviyo account. That's one of the things that we always do. So we've seen a lot of accounts over the years, and that is how I've constructed this list of the 7 things we're about to go through. If you run an e-commerce brand, you're doing over 100K per month, and you're looking for someone to really come in and transform your retention marketing, to take over email and SMS for you and start driving much more impact from Klaviyo, from things like Postscript, coming in with different retention marketing ideas. This is exactly what we do. We have an expert team that absolutely crush it for our clients, and we have insane amount of client retention on this service because of the way we're structured and because of the team that we have. So if you're interested in that, let's have a conversation. Scroll down below, just below this video, the video description. Click that first link. It's going to take you to my calendar. Book a time. We'll talk about your business. We'll talk about retention. We'll see if we can actually help you. If not, I'll just give you some advice as to what we're seeing with our clients and what I would do in your position. So let's actually get into these 7 different points right here. First, I want to talk about 2 main objectives for retention marketing. And this is really just going to set the scene and is going to change the way you think about email. So the first thing is about increasing lifetime value. Now, most brands don't think about this, but if you want to build an e-commerce brand that grows, and even if you turn off your ads or your new customer acquisition slows down, the business can sustain. And that's because you have strong lifetime value and you have strong retention marketing in place to be able to sustain that. So email marketing is a great way to increase lifetime value. And what we do is we map out the buyer journey, and then we reverse engineer the buyer journey into our email and SMS campaign strategy and our flow strategy to be able to achieve those targets. The second thing is, with retention marketing, email and SMS specifically, the next objective is to convert more non-customers into customers. Now, what do I mean by this? A lot of people on your existing email list are not yet customers. So you need to convert them into customers, right? You need to convert as many of them as possible into customers. And that is one of the roles of email and SMS marketing. The way you do that is you improve the email and SMS marketing strategy with that objective in mind. So these 7 different things I'm going to show you are going to allow you to understand how you can do just that. So the first thing is that most brands out there, probably about, I'd say at least 70% of brands, are not sending enough campaigns. What we do is we send 3 campaigns per week to non-customers, and then we send 2 to 3 per week to existing customers. Now, there is some overlap from time to time where one campaign can serve both audiences, but in most cases, we send specific content to each, okay? And when we do this, specifically with campaigns, we follow the 80% value / educational / brand content and 20% sales promotion content. This could actually be a separate point, but most brands, with their campaigns, they just send promotion after promotion, offer, sale, buy 2, get 1 free, 30% off. And what happens is you end up burning your list. And rather than using email as a channel to build relationships with your customers, you actually end up just being the brand that always sends sales and promotions emails. Like, we all have those brands in our inbox where they're always sending us promotions emails. So there's no urgency to buy. There's no affinity that we have with the brand because, they're just sending us sales and promotions, which is cool, but I have no connection to that brand. There's no story. We don't have alignment in values, right? So whether I buy from that brand or not doesn't really matter. So that strategy just is not going to serve you. And we've seen it time and time again. And when we introduce our strategy of focusing more on producing value, writing emails that people actually want to open and read, where they can learn something new, where they can get closer to the brand story, where they can learn about how our products are made or where our products are made, or the people behind the team and the behind the scenes and the updates of the company. Like, these are things that people actually are interested in, right? And what happens is when you send most of your emails are those emails. And by the way, this 80%, 20% is over the course of a full year. You need to be looking at a wider time horizon, because if you're doing this in Black Friday, Cyber Monday period, of course, the majority of your emails are going to be sales and promotions, right? So it's more of a longer time horizon play. But what happens is when you do send the 20% of sales and promotion emails, they perform so much better, like night and day, right? Whereas if you're just always sending those emails, you're going to see that maybe they're performing well now, but that's going to start to dwindle, okay? So this is a very, very important point. Now, the second point is there's no consistent email design structure. So what you want to do is you want to uphold your brand, fonts, colors, hierarchy. You want to have a consistent structure across your emails. And At the same time, you don't just want these emails to look pretty. You want to optimize for clicks by positioning buttons in key areas, the first key area being above the fold. So you want to treat your email like you would treat a landing page, okay? When someone opens your email on mobile, what are they seeing? A lot of the emails that we see and we audit is just like either a huge image with no context, no button, no text, or text and maybe images, but the button is pushed way far down below the fold. So what you want to do is within that first section, unless your email is a plain text email, which we'll get into in a moment, within that first image, that hero image, you want to have the image of the product or the thing that you're selling or whatever you want to get across, the headline, the subheadline, and the CTA button. That should all be able to be seen without scrolling. Because if a customer wants to click there and then, they have all the context that they need. And maybe if they're hooked in, they want to scroll, they can read more. Okay? So it's just like a landing page. And you also want your call to actions to be action driven, right? But don't make them boring. Don't make the CTAs say learn more. It's like, find out if it's still available, or yes, I want to transform my gut health, right? These are obviously on the spot examples. They could be much better, but do something different, okay? So that's obviously going to improve your CTR and your conversion rate, right? And what that means is that has an effect, a domino effect on the revenue that those campaigns are generating. Also, there's a halo effect here that's happening, which is brand recognition and brand affinity. If all your emails have a consistent look and feel, then whenever a customer or a reader opens an email from you, they know it's your brand because it's the same look and feel. And when they see, like, for example, the way their emails look, you should also have a similar look and feel on organic social, on your website, your landing pages, your ads, and you create a cohesive look and feel to everything. And what that leads to is you start building brand, right? You start building that brand recognition, that brand recall, because everything is consistent. Wherever they see you, they're seeing the same colors, they're seeing the same fonts. Like, little things make a big difference, especially as you start scaling and especially if you want to build brand value. Third point, no face behind the brand. Now, this is like, I guess there's two camps to this. First camp is that if you put a face behind the brand, then we look small. And if you want to scale to 8 figures, 9 figures, it's best not to have a face behind the brand. I think there's a little bit of truth to that. However, I'm on the other camp. The other camp is add a face. It doesn't have to be the founder because, again, if you want to sell your brand, you don't want it to be founder-led, right? So if you can remove the founder from as many things as possible, then good. So what you can do is you can create this avatar. The avatar might not be a real person, right? It could be an avatar, someone or a character that exists just in your emails. Or it could be someone in customer service. Again, that person doesn't have to be a real person. But what we're trying to do here is we're trying to add a face to the brand. People are much more likely to buy from other people rather than just buying from a faceless company. So if we can add a sign-off to the email with a photo to improve engagement and the name of the person and the title, and they see that over and over again. And then sometimes we send these emails where the sender name, the from name, is changed to Max from XYZ brand, okay? Rather than just XYZ brand in the inbox, is Max. And they're like, oh, I know Max because I see him in all the emails, right? You start to build connection in a different way. Now, too many brands are not leveraging plain text emails. And this is either because they don't know about plain text emails, they don't know they work, or they're not using them in the correct way, or they feel like it's going to damage their brand perception. So first of all, if you don't know about them, plain text emails are you just write the text. There's no design. It's just like an email that you would receive from a colleague, from a friend. And they work so well because they look different to most of the emails, like most of the other marketing emails they're getting in their inbox. It looks more personal. It looks like it's written for them. And usually if you can send these from that same avatar, if you're small as a brand, you can still send them from the founder, but as you continue growing, I would change that to someone else, like an avatar, so that you're not staying founder-led. And then if you feel like it's going to damage your brand, if that's the camp you're in, then I just don't believe in that, right? Like if that's the case and that's, strong stance, then just don't do it. It's fine. But, there's a ton of 9-figure brands that do these. And they don't damage the way I see the brand. And I've spoken to many people, they don't see it any differently. They just see that they're getting a personalized message from the brand, which, if anything, can strengthen the relationship they have with the brand. Okay. So next point is that brands are not sending to enough people, or they're sending to too many unengaged profiles. And what this is leading to is that it can cause many different issues. The first is that it can damage your deliverability if you're sending to too many unengaged profiles. If you're not sending to enough people, then you're leaving a lot of money on the table. And if you're sending to too many people, then you can really skyrocket your Klaviyo bill and not see the return on that. Like, we've seen that happen so many times. So what you want to do is you want to look at your audience segmentation, your lists, and you just want to make sure you're tightening your segmentation to engaged profiles. Engaged profiles are people who are interacting with you within a specific time frame. Okay, so let's just say it's 120 days, 90 days. These are people who have opened or clicked an email within that time frame. Okay, And the reason why you want to continue sending to engaged profiles is because if someone is unengaged, hasn't opened your emails in 6 months or whatever, then that person is not likely to randomly come back and open an email, right? That's why we have a separate sequence called a win back flow or a sunset flow, where we try and win them back with a one-time offer. So by sending to more engaged profiles, you tighten your list, meaning you're only sending to the people who are likely to open, click, and buy. And as a result, you send to less people, which means you're not paying as much for Klaviyo as you were when you were sending to a lot more profiles. And your engagement metrics are improving. So what happens is if you send to many unengaged profiles, your deliverability can take a hit because you have a lot of people who are not opening or clicking. And if you can tighten a segment where you can find the perfect balance between the number of people you send to, the number of opens, clicks, and of course revenue, the ROI on that, then that is the sweet point at which you want to be in. So you have to test different time periods. There's no silver bullet for this. We always test different time periods. If we find that we're testing 120 days and the engagement metrics are just telling us that we're still too wide, then we try and tighten that down a little bit more and vice versa. Okay. So the next point is that brands are not maximizing the potential of product launches. Every time you launch a product and you send emails about it, this is a perfect opportunity to make a huge spike in revenue. Now, this is what we do. So we send hype builder emails 1 week in advance or more, depending on how anticipated the new product is. You can send 2 weeks, 3 weeks in advance. The goal of these emails is to notify, warm up, excite, and engage your customers. These emails often ask customers to reply or click to be added to the VIP list and be the first to hear about the news. Now, you don't just excite your customers and notify them that something is coming. So one, they're alert and they know about it now. So by taking an action, they become more committed and more likely to remember that you're launching a new product. So when you actually launch the product, they're like, oh yeah, I remember this. I received an email. Okay. Then if they get added to that VIP list, it's much more likely that they're actually going to receive the email because they took an action which sent a very good deliverability signal. A reply or a click are very good signals to that recipient and that inbox that you're a trusted sender. This person is interacting with your emails. So next time you send an email, it's much more likely to land in the inbox as regards to the promotions tab or the spam folder. Okay. So this does many, many different things. Now, then we send the product launch email and SMS itself on the day of the launch. Okay. You send that email, you say, hey, highly anticipated. This is, you shout about it from the hilltops. Okay. Then what you want to do is you want to send 2 to 3 follow-ups with different content angles and emails that look different to each other. A lot of brands, they get the first parts right, but then they get this wrong. So a lot of brands, when it comes to this, is that they will send emails that look exactly the same as the launch email. Now, why is that an issue? Well, customers, in the inbox, they're reading these emails fast. They're not spending a bunch of time analyzing the emails and saying, did I read this one? Like, they're opening, and if they see that it's the same blue background, same product image, it's like, oh, I've already seen this email. Next. But it might be a different email. Okay, but the content that might be different is just below the fold. So what you want to do is you want to create emails that look different, still on brand, still within brand colors, still within, the same brand look and feel, but they look different. So the customer second guess and says, I've never seen this before, something new. Let me read and see what they have to say. And customers might just miss that launch email. So you want to give yourself enough opportunities to be seen. Okay, so that is how we do the product launches, and that's how you can maximize the potential. Of course, there's other things you can do outside of just sending email campaigns and SMS, but this is really the bare bones of it. Now, the next point is not enough A/B testing or not enough impactful A/B testing. So there's many brands that just aren't doing A/B testing at all. And usually the way I see this is it's either a time issue if they're doing the email themselves, or they have someone internally who's kind of doing an email, they're also doing other things. It's a time issue. And that's most of the cases. The second is that somebody else is doing it, someone who's competent, but either they're not doing it in the right way, or they're A/B testing things like subject lines, which we just don't see as to be as impactful, right? And if an agency is A/B testing subject lines and telling you how great their subject line tests are, there's not a lot in there. Okay? Like, I would question that. One, because subject line tracking and attribution is not as powerful as it used to be and not as good as it used to be with the privacy updates, all that stuff. But then we really should be looking at how can we do big swing tests to really change the revenue, not to get an extra 5%. Okay, if you're 9 figures a year, an extra 5% in email revenue is huge. But for most brands, try and get a 20% increase on the revenue from the campaign. And you're not going to do that with a simple subject line test. Okay, so what we do is we focus on big swings. So usually these are completely different angles of the same idea, or different design structure, length changes. Or, for example, we could do a designed email versus plain text, right? Same copy, but one in a plain text format, one in a design format. When I speak about big swings, it's like you don't want to send completely different emails, but you want to send the same idea, the same overarching theme, but just maybe structure in a different way. Okay, one is much shorter, one is much longer. Another one is the copy is written in a very persuasive, direct response way. Another one is like simple bullet points, like do this, do this, do this, or like this is what the product does in 3 bullet points. or you approach it in different ways. Okay, and that's a big swing test. It does take time to set up, and it takes a little bit more competence as well because you need these different ideas. But this is really what we see to be more impactful when it comes to A/B testing. And there you have it. Those are the 7 things you can do to start making more money from your email campaigns. And a lot of these things you can start to introduce right away. So as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, if you are running an e-commerce brand, you're doing over 100K per month, and you're looking for someone to come in and handle all this for you, not just the campaigns, but the flows, the A/B testing, the optimizing of the pop-up, the segmentation, the deliverability, SMS, retention marketing ideas, getting clarity on LTV, like all these things to make your e-commerce business more valuable, more profitable, then this is exactly what we do. We have a killer team. And if you scroll down below, the first link in the video description is one to my website. Go ahead, go to that calendar, book a time. Can't wait to chat with you. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video.